Hey, good evening, guys. Today we're going to take a look at a Compass Games game. It's titled World War II Campaigns, 1940, 1941, 1942. Uh, it's a Compass game. I am expecting a number of other games to show up. One of which is that new Golden Age of Piracy game, the solo one with the dry erase markers. I have the old GMT Blackbeard game that's multiplayer. Maybe you can play it solo. Yeah, I think you can play it solo, uh, but it's a lot more. I'd rather play that little solitaire game. So I got a copy of it. It's coming in the mail. I also got a copy of Chadwick's Fire in the East, I think it's called, the first game by Victory Point Games. Fire in the East, Volume One. Not it's Soviet Union, but not sure exactly. Well, you'll see it when it gets here. And then I have, what else do I have coming? I have some other things coming in the mail. Let me think for a second. Uh, Damn, that's a shame when you can't even remember what games you ordered. I know I got the piracy, pirate game, Fire in the East, and then I got that Fighting Formations 29th Infantry Division. I was actually in that division back in the early 90s. It's a National Guard division, Virginia National Guard division, the blue and gray. I was actually a artillery guy. But what was really screwed up about that was when I was in the regular army, and the only artillery I was really trained on was the self-propelled M109, the Alpha 5 version. And then I get in the Virginia National Guard, and here they're towing little 105s around on the back of Humvees. Oh, jeez. But anyway, I'm getting a couple of other games. You'll see them when I get them. But look, all right, getting back to this game. It's a nice sturdy box, nice sturdy Compass Games box. On the back, it lists here's your the battles that are included. You have 1940, the Battle of France, 1941, Operation Barbarossa, and 1942, the Japanese campaign against Malaya, Java, and the Philippines. Here's a little brief look at the maps and some of the counters for those particular scenarios. And here we have the components, the designer. Chadwick designed 40. John Astill designed the 1941 game, and Mark Miller designed the 1942 game. Complexities low to medium. These are designed to be like intro level games for wargamers. Turn skill varies, map skill, all this stuff varies. It's one or two players. Two is probably best. Medium solitaire suitability. 2 hours average play time. Could be more at the beginning and would probably be less once you know how to play. Recommended ages, 14 and higher. That's probably a lot lower than it should be. You could teach a 12 or a 13-year-old how to play some of these games. So we get some dice sealed up in a bag. Once again, I believe there's nitrogen in that bag. See, they fill these bags full of nitrogen, and it protects the paint on the die. Right? Yeah. Yeah, that's the ticket. It protects the paint. Nitrogen. Each game or scenario, whatever you want to call it, that comes in this box has its own rule book. So you have a 1940 rule book, a 1941 rule book, a 1942 rule book. They're on glossy paper, which I hate. But each game has its own rule book. All the units, I mean, everything's different in each of these scenarios. The stacking, the movement, the way you attack, what you can attack with. Everything's different. But the rule books are very short. This one is only 12 pages long for the 40 scenario. Here it's giving you a color code of what units are what. And the print large, even for my old eyes, I can read it fine. And it's 2 columns per page. And each section is very well outlined. The units only have a combat strength and a movement factor, other than the other stuff that only matters. Well, it matters for stacking. Unit size matters for stacking. And then the identification numbers matter for, I guess, placement. But, I mean, other than that, it's just historical. It only has historical value. Little table of contents. But they're very short, very easy war games. Very, very easy. Glossy paper sucks. 1941 rule book. This is Barbarossa. Again, these counters are very similar. Combat strength and movement factors. But the unit sizes are way different from the 1940 scenario you played in, what is that, Invasion of France or something? What does it say? Yeah, Invasion of France. This is a invasion of the Soviet Union, so there's a lot more space. So your units are a lot, well, there's army and corps and groups. And the stacking limits are different. Zones of control, how you attack, what you can attack are different. But again, it's a glossy rule book, 12 pages long. Advertisement on the back. Very easy to read, very easy to understand. This is the one that intrigues me the most. The 1942 rule book. On the back of this, you have the counter manifest printed out for all the games. This is the Japanese attacks on Malaya and down in that area. Java, I think. Again, in this instance, we only have a combat strength and then identification and size things. But this one's very different than all the other ones. The other two are kind of similar, but this one is like not even like the other ones. There's movements, stacking, combat, naval movement points. Navy, there is no naval combat in this game. There's no naval units per se in this game. Which kind of disappointed me. They do have air, though, air units that are differentiated. But the naval units are, the naval stuff is really not even in here, other than an abstract naval movement point allowance that each side gets. Here it is, NMP, naval movement point allowance. Japanese get a ton. The Allies get very little. But that's just, you use those points to move units across water for like amphibious invasions. That's another big thing that's in this book, or in this game, that's not in the other ones. But this one seems the most interesting to me. I really would like to get into this one. We have a page of errata, just printed on a, actually, really thin-ass piece of paper. But here's some errata for the 1940 and 42 games that are in here. Each game also has its own player aid. We have a 1940 terrain effects chart and CRT, victory conditions and such. One player aid on nice card stock, nice thick card stock. It is glossy though, which is a problem. Well, it's not a problem, I guess, unless you make it one, but I hate it. You have the 1941 player aid charts and tables, which has a CRT on it, weather chart, terrain effects chart, and it's single-sided. And that's your player aid for 1941 game. And here's the 1942 play chart, which is single-sided. And it's got its own CRT, victory point chart, and some other things on it. Again, nice stiff cardstock, but it's glossy. Then you have individual maps for each game, and they're printed on this really stiff, thick poster board material, and it's super thick, and it leaves some. It really does leave these hard creases in the game map. That's why I use plexi. I was getting ready to say Pepsi, but here's the 1940 map. They're really simple. Everything's clearly defined. Again, these are made for introductory type games to the hobby. Here's the 1941 map on the same. All these maps are on the same stiff material. I don't mind these. I mean, this is a happy medium for me between mounted maps and paper maps. Paper maps are okay because I usually play under plexi. Mounted maps are okay because, well, they're mounted. But this material, this thick cardstock is like I would rather almost have everything be like this because it does fit under plexi, and you could play with it without plexi if you just backbend it, but then you run the risk of maybe wearing some of the paint off. But here's the 1941 Operation Barbarossa map. It's quite a bit larger, actually. Quite a bit. And you can see the scale of it. That's why the units are such larger units. But that's a look at that one. And then the final map is the 1942 map, which is the Japanese one. Let me open this one up. Good Lord. All these hard creases. All right, here we go. 1942 map, and it's a representation of I know where this is. Yeah, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, all these, the Philippines, Borneo. Yeah, this. Now you can see why those naval movement points come in handy. That's the only way to move troops from say Malaya over to Borneo. You have to use naval movement points. But there's no actual naval units on the map. And I'm not even sure. I briefly flipped through the rules a day or so ago, but I'm not even sure if you can even attack with air other people's transporting troops. I don't even think you can even do that. So most of the naval stuff, I believe, is probably abstracted out, and this is more of a land campaign. But as you can see, that's why you need those naval movement points, so you can move stuff around. That was a look at this map. Then we have the counters, and these. See, I got another copy of this game, but I bought another copy of this game, and that's why I'm pulling this one out to play with, because you see how warped that counter sheet is. These counter sheets are. Look at this. Yeah, I don't. But they're still in the shrink wrap. I've not taken them out. But man, they're horribly warped and bent. And I believe I did not buy this game directly from Compass Games. I may have got this from Noble Knight Games. And I don't know if they just had it stored somewhere the wrong way. I don't know what happened. It was brand new when I got it, but the counter sheet is really, really warped. I don't know if that's common to these games or not. I've got another copy coming, so we'll find out. But I'm not taking these out of the shrink yet. There's 3 counter sheets in here. No, there's not. There's 2 counter sheets, and the counters are spread over. For instance, these are the 1940 counters. These are the 1941s. These are 1940s. These are 1941s down here along the bottom. And then the other sheet is probably, well, on the back of the sheet it tells you 1941 scenario, 1942, or 1940. But the counters are all mixed together across 2 different counter sheets. So, but that's a quick look at this game. I thought I'd show you guys. I don't know if there's much of this on the internet or not. And, you know, they're pretty basic, really simple games. I don't know how many people bought them or got into them or anything, but I like them. They're quick and easy to play. Plus, you know, they're good to teach people, you know, start people in their the war game hobby. So, hey, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good night.